right, so I'm just going to start off with the very first one that looks like a very eager person to type it in there. We saw that you attached functionality to your centralized exchange fundraiser NFTs that dropped 10,000 Dogira to holders at a specific date and time. And the manga NFTs come with a digital download link. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about different types of functionality you could add to NFTs in the future, whether it's in-game functionality or out-of-game functionality, like the centralized exchange editions NFTs or the manga NFTs. For example, if you were to create a run of lewd catgirl NFTs for an indie developer's degenerate catgirl-based video game, what functions might we see attached to them?
There's any function really in the world you can think of. I mean, an NFT basically states your ownership over an item. Once we can verify your ownership of an item, then we can pretty much do anything we want. Be that, delivering a real life cat girl to your house, or, I don't know, giving you an item in a game. So if we wanted to keep it with the family friendly version, if we were to look at gaming, if you look at, say, cosmetics or anything like that, like skins you can wear, weapons you can pick up, things like that, those would be very easily held within NFT. The lovely thing about NFT is that we can actually do a record of ownership through it. So say you picked up a weapon in-game or a player traded it to you, you'd be able to take a look through every player that ever held it and see, who at some point wielded this weapon like 4 years ago when they started out playing the game. Or small little things like, we can attach, say, where they actually went to or anything like that. Like, they picked up this weapon in some province in the very north side of the game. And now it's made its way down to, I'm trying to think of World of Warcraft names to make this relatable, but I don't know. There's Kalimdor, that's the whole world, isn't it? Yeah, no, I have no idea. But there's a lot of stuff that we can do with that kind of stuff in it. So when it comes to gaming, I would likely look at it being a lot around cosmetics or around, say, weaponry or anything like that. But it can go down to any level at all, really. I mean, currency is probably one of the most obvious ones that we can insert into a game. Like if you're just directly dealing in currency in game and you're playing the game, let's say, for example, in your browser, you would just have MetaMask pop up to say, okay, you've tried to purchase this from the store. Are you okay with buying it? Do you want to sign on this? Make the purchase, and it's all held on the blockchain. There's benefits and there's drawbacks to it. Right now, the obvious biggest drawback would be that if we did it through Ethereum, you might pick up, say, a $1 microtransaction, and then you'll pay $80 in gas. So the network we're on at the moment is not really up to scratch for that level of stuff. But of course, we could always have spin-off token chains that are running on something maybe a little bit better for scaling. Maybe Ethereum 2.0 will actually solve a lot of this for us as well. And, we can basically allow people to get, their airdrops based off whatever Dogira they might have in their wallet. They might be able to stake Dogira and receive, a cheaper network token, say the ADA network or Cardano network rather. They're going to be launching their smart contracts very soon. It's not quite as mature as we'd like to see it, but that would be something which could, work out really well in the favor of games that want small transactions, particularly in, currency-based stuff that you want to pay 1 gold or 1 silver or anything like that to pick up a small item. You don't want to pay $80 in gas to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a difficult question for me to give, I suppose, a really succinct answer on, because we can really do anything with it. Tokens in general, NFTs, I think, are really going to empower what we already have in games and also make a lot of things that weren't possible before now actually possible. So it's kind of, there's a lot to kind of cover over that question. I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a ramble over it. It's difficult to put it into a small amount of words. But yeah, that was what we could see in the terms of, gaming and stuff like that. Anything you can think of, we can really attach it to our NFTs, and that's something we want to keep on doing. I think one of the biggest problems with NFTs right now are the lack of use cases, and that's not inherently a bad thing. I mean, the Mona Lisa doesn't have a use case per se or anything like that. But when you're talking about, more of a mass product or anything like that, one person in the world owns the Mona Lisa. I know there might be very good duplicates as well that are sold. But when it comes to building an actual product that we want, back an entire asset with being Dogira, those are the kind of things we'd be looking at. Something that you can consume, use, and resell quite easily. Something that actually gives value to the token, not just something that we make once. And that's not to say we'll never do art. We already kind of have. But mass production is kind of where we need to go in order to back the token and make sure that this is, more than More than just a, we make NFTs, here's a JPEG kind of thing. And I think that's where we'd like to go with it. I hope that answers your question. If not, please feel free to either edit it or add in any additionals under it. And Shiggy, over to you if you want to get me the next one.
All right, let's see. What are the plans for an open Dogira API where I can plug in the potential for using Dogira in a Unity game?
Yeah, so we haven't jumped into the specifics on engines yet, but obviously Unity right now, I think makes up over 51% of the overall market. And I think it's nearly 90% on mobile at this stage. So, obviously we're looking at Unity in how kind of portable and how accessible it is, particularly to indie developers. With an open Dogira API, I mean, ideally that's what we would kind of be looking for in the SDK that we're building. We don't want to make this something where we have to go to a game developer, say, hey, listen, we need to explain to you how the blockchain works. So please sit there and deal with us talking about something that you maybe have no interest about for however many weeks it takes us to kind of, get you trained up on that. We want to provide much easier functions. Say, one function that I would love to have personally in Unity development is actually authentication via MetaMask. So that's kind of one thing that I think everybody has a problem with now. You likely have a 1Password or a LastPass, and you've probably got about 200 or 300 logins inside of it. And on top of that, then you have a MetaMask that probably has about 20 wallets inside of it. And then you got things that are linked to your Google, to your Facebook, to your Twitter, etc. And I just find that the ones that are going through Google, Twitter, Facebook, etc., as much as I dislike the fact that there could be an amount of data sharing happening on that, I do like, say, open authentication protocols. And MetaMask would be one that would actually offer a decent level of privacy and security that would allow you to log into any game and preserve your identity on it. And that's something that you don't need to remember, your password to type it in every time or anything like that. You just make sure that you keep your MetaMask password and your recovery phrase safe. So yeah, ideally, that is the kind of stuff we would like to build from a ground level up. So as far as the game developer is concerned, I want authentication and I don't want to connect with Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter, etc. So log in with MetaMask. I think that's a really perfect use case for people who want privacy and easy logins. And I suppose to actually connect onto the blockchain itself. That, you craft a weapon or you craft an item of clothing, anything like that, you were able to sign it with your MetaMask. We're able to just run straight through with that. I think that a lot of it comes down to what people are calling, real Web3, that's in Web 3.0. I think this is what we're looking at. I know we said beforehand years ago that it was going to be all APIs. Then we found that we had to disable most of them because companies like Facebook use them to greatly abuse personal data. So I think that when we're looking at a real Web 3.0, it has to be centered around privacy and having a lot of power in how you can actually control the content you're seeing and have it customized to your needs. I think MetaMask and just general cryptography is going to be at the actual center of that. So yeah, ideally the Dogira API, that's plug and play. For game engines currently undecided, but in general, yeah, that is something that we really want to get into developers' hands so that they can straight away start building with it and just harness the power of the blockchain without needing a deep understanding of it. And that's that. Shiggy, back over to you.
All right, so kind of a 2-in-1 I'm going to throw at you. A new website launch, and when will the white paper be released, or any updates on that?
Better question for Mia. So we are working on the white paper at the moment, and we're hoping that we're able to meet the target that we've set of early May. I can't see any reason why we wouldn't at this stage. It is very near completion. It's just a couple of things we need to sign off on at this stage. So yeah, we're kind of down to the brass tacks on it. On the new website, that's been a difficult one. And we've looked through a couple of different designs we want to put on there, and none of them have really stuck out to us yet. So we're still working with designers on that one to see what kind of stuff we want to put in there and what kind of framework we want to build on. We've worked with Vue.js, which it's a fantastic system, but the reality is that it's not doing anything that we couldn't really do with the current setup that we have. So yeah, a lot of the whole new website thing comes down to, we want to have, our staking portal open on there. We want to have something to showcase NFTs on there. Personally, I'm not a fan of the endlessly scrolling pages, so I want to have, some separation on that one to make it easier to browse and easier to link other people to it. It could be that we actually just kind of evolve our current website rather than building a whole new one from scratch. That I don't want to just build a new one from scratch for the sake of building a new one from scratch. There's nothing inherently wrong with the technology we're using on the current website. It's more that I would like to see a bit of an update in the design and maybe have something a little bit more bespoke in there that kind of sends our message home a little bit better than what would admittedly be right now, Space Dogira, which, yes, it's great to have our memes, but we do kind of want to show the actual serious side of it to people and make sure that we're not kind of falling into the trap of people just thinking we're a meme token with nothing under development. And that's a lot of what the website means to me. It's our first impression, and we want to make that as good as it can be while also having our functionality on there. So be that through a brand new website that we built from the ground up with a new framework, or be it expanding on our existing website. Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll have something on it anyway within, I would say before the end of May is when we'll be looking at something like that, but it could be popping into June as well. Right now we are kind of to the wall with everything we're doing, and we don't want to spend a lot of time working on aesthetics when we have a lot of functionality that we need to be building out. There's a balancing process in it. And it'll be great to actually get the community's kind of view on that one as well, what you would like to see on the website and what kind of designs you would envision on there. Particularly when you're dealing with a bunch of engineers who admittedly are not fantastic when it comes to actually looking at something and saying that looks good or not. So yeah, that might be something we'll put to a community poll. And even if we have any designers in the house or even any just web devs, we'd certainly like you to reach out and let us see what kind of stuff you worked on before to give us a little bit of inspiration in that department. As I said, engineers, we can put things together, but when it comes to actually making them look pretty, yeah, we'll get it functional, but we'd give you a command line if we could. But yeah, that's all on that one. Shiggy, you can throw me the next one.
All right, so a little bit more lighthearted on this one. Whose fault is it that Guinness is only good on tap, and why should they be fired for making beer?
That's there are bottles which are kind of okay. If you drink it out of a can, yeah, it's absolute sacrilege. But in general, if you're drinking it, you'd want to get it from a tap. And I might be kind of throwing caution to the wind with my own nationality here, but I'm not a huge fan of Guinness. That is the truth. Shiggy, you're going to have to jump in here and make sure you're, reacting to this kind of stuff so I can get, some sort of pantomime going on.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. I mean, personally, I don't have any really opinions on beer. I don't drink, so.
I haven't actually drank since the start of the lockdown. I would drink with friends, and I haven't been able to see my friends in about a year now. So, yeah, it's a bit of a painful one. Maybe my palate has completely changed in that time. Like, I'd often drink a light beer or a cider, and I know again I'm throwing away my man cards or whatever, but. Similarly, I like drinking things that I like. That's pretty much it.
All right, guys. It's been confirmed no one drinks wine box.
No, I've not fallen to that level quite yet, but I did enjoy a Coors Light at some point in my life. So, I mean, is that better or is it worse? Yeah.
All right, another lighthearted one. I'm just going to combine all these in one because it seems like... let's see, when Moon, and when Lambo. So can you answer that? Because I can't.
Yeah, when Moon, I would love to turn around and say, oh, that was actually a couple of days ago. You guys missed it. Dump your coins. But when we look at this from a developer kind of perspective, I don't sit here kind of staring at the candles all day. That's just kind of a truth on it. But yes, I do love seeing green candles. I love seeing them going up, and I love seeing the community reaction that comes from that. Especially love it when new people jump in and they're welcomed with a green candle. That's brilliant. But similarly, as developers, we're more concerned with actually making a product that can kind of stand. Like, there's a lot of new coins coming out at the moment which are running to ridiculous heights, and a lot of them. I don't like saying this in the sense of kind of dumping on another coin, but at the same time, if you're buying into a coin and the only thing it does is give you a unit of currency that you can't use on anything, and there's no use case at all for it, particularly if it's on Ethereum where, the gas prices are quite high and you're paying in and out every time, like that is about as close to a Ponzi scheme as I can really give an example on. So for the developers on the project, we look at actually building things that have genuine worth and value that we can actually tie to the token. And we've been, I suppose, excited so far in seeing that when we started rolling out our plans for, what we're doing from a development perspective, talking in AMAs about it, things like that, we did see a price increase. It naturally went up because we kind of made clear that this has a use case and a long-term plan with it. So when it comes to seeing questions like, when moon, and a couple of people who bought in at the all-time high and immediately got aggravated by it, and there's a couple of people even that bought a BSC token which ripped off her name. It's like, please research the project. It's great during a bull run when, yes, sometimes you can buy into something and it will just shoot up, and congratulations, you've won some free money at the behest of somebody else, but either way, you've won some free money, either through timing or luck. But when you're purchasing into Dogira, I think that Dogira has an inherent value which is not being reflected in the price right now. I think that really, and this is of course just my opinion, not financial advice, etc., I think really it's worth a lot more than what we're seeing. And that's why we're working hard on actually building products that we can bring to you to show other people the value that we have in that. And yeah, to cut a long story short on it, like getting to the moon and stuff like that, the company, the currency, the token, etc., it should naturally grow in price as we keep rolling out products. But of course, we are in a bull run at the moment. Everybody is. So it might spike quicker than we'd expect it to, and then it might cool off as many coins do. But yeah, the general when moon on it, hopefully soon, but on a development perspective, we are very happy with how things are going at the moment. So when we're happy with how things are going, rest assured, it bodes well for general investments. And of course, that is not financial advice, etc., etc. And there you go. Back over to you, Shiggy.
I do want to say I really appreciate the core group of people that are here. The ones that were here early and the ones that got here a little bit late, but still, appreciate all the work that you're putting in, Owen, because they actually did research on the project. Like I bought in a little bit, like I got in pretty early, and I know I'm going to be holding for a really long time, if not just not selling, especially with the last Ask Me Anything, or the one prior to that, where you were saying that we could just stake our tokens and benefit off of the channels of all like the games that are coming in, and pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, get a sort of passive income from that, just from staking the coins and kind of locking them up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the general stuff that we would look for with that. I mean, the ideal thing that we want to do is make you not want to sell your tokens. That's kind of the reality of it. We want to give enough functionality and enough kind of returns from your general tokens, and the DeFi nature has been good for providing that in, I suppose, a more passive way. But when we look at things like actually locking them up and staking them and getting NFTs out of it, especially NFTs that would have use cases like we've displayed so far, those are the kind of things we want you to be using your coins for. Like, we want to see them locked up. We want to see you earn passively from them over time. We want to see that is a value in actually being an asset. And I agree with you. There's a lot of people in here who have been absolutely brilliant. They have a lot of excitement for the project about kind of every facet of it. And not to draw on the meme with it, but one of the worst things, like something I really hate seeing, is somebody just saying, when is this pumping? And you're just kind of looking at them and it's like, are we really that deep into this bull run?
It's horrible.
Yeah. And like, how many times have you been burned if you're just jumping in on all-time highs in projects you don't understand? Now, thankfully, I think we've kept a decent portion of the new people who jumped in kind of when we were booming a couple of days ago. And I think that for a project, any project you can be on, I mean, this is when we do have set development plans and we have professionals working on the project. But we're not going to sit around and talk about when pump, because we're building an actual service and product. And we believe that the pricing will rise as we start delivering on that product, as it already has done. And that is our concern when it comes to, mooning. We want to build that value in there, because as you can see from any of the coins that have, as you were saying, mooned in the past couple of weeks, many of them are now crabbed, and they're crabbed down so hard that people are down like 80, 90, 95% on their investment. And they're wondering, well, how is this coming back? It's like, oh yeah, it's simple. You go and find a bunch of people to buy your bags off you, and then you can leave.
I think it's just a shame that, Dogira did have to come out at this time. It's awesome that it did, but just the fact that it came around the whole meme token thing, it just got lumped into that. Sadly, if it came around at any other time, it would have probably got a closer look from a lot of other people.
Yeah, and that's kind of the reality on it too. That, I mean, when the token was first launched, it was launched, as a bit of a meme token. Then it got, bigger than the creators thought it would get. And I was interested in it because it reminded me a lot of the Dogecoin community. I found that other communities that were launching around kind of the meme coin purpose, they were extremely pump and dump, whereas the Dogira community, it was a very chilled out atmosphere. People were just chatting, talking, laughing, stuff like that. They weren't so concerned with what the price was doing. And it was after speaking, with Dan and the older core members of the team. Sans the person we had to remove from the team. He opted not to speak with myself at that point, but in speaking with them, it was kind of like, what do you want to do with this coin? Is it just kind of a meme? Is that where it's going to stay, like a community token? Or have you any interest in doing anything further on it? And the genuine answer was that there was interest in doing a lot more with it. It just wasn't really expected that it would get to this point. So we had to do, I suppose, a little bit of a turnaround on it. And so I love the imagery. We can keep that. But the actual core of the coin underneath it, we'll have to do a thing or two with that and actually give it a little bit of use. And that's when, Mia joined on as well. We were able to work together on deploying the Doge City V2 contract with the aforementioned former team member that caused that little bit of a ruckus that we had to take care of. Thankfully, 100% of funds recovered. So it was a bit of a shocking weekend to onboard, I suppose. We had a lot to get through in a short amount of time, but we were able to show, I suppose, the caliber of the team that we actually had with us. That we were able to deploy, a brand new Doge City contract. We were able to use the stake farming functionality on the old Doge City to, make sure that that team member could not access any funds, things like that. And I mean, that was one weekend where we secured, the entire coin. And I think, yes, it was horrifying at the time, but in being able to see how, the full team here were able to handle it, how we communicated it, and that the fact that the full team were on board with myself and being open and transparent about everything that had occurred, I think it put us in a fantastic position to say, this isn't just a meme coin. We have too much on our side to allow this to just be a community token. This is going to be something that we can really work on. We have engineers on board. We've a lot of experience in this field. Let's jump into it. And so I think it is unfortunate that at times we are still listed, under a meme coin and stuff like that. But if anything, I suppose it does help people actually find the project. That it's a little bit crowded at the moment in the general, if you call it DeFi or crypto space. And I found that with the striking imagery, and I suppose on one sense with myself being associated with the old Dogecoin team, having developed for them, it has helped us get a little bit of a leg up. That we've been able to kind of start moving on it, and now people are understanding the actual project itself and where it's going from here. So all in all, a little bit of a mismatched way of getting there, but I think it has worked out very well for us.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it speaks volumes about, again, going back to like the core community and the people that believe in the project, and just the fact of, you guys being here, the devs being here, and the team being here, that, and you want the project to succeed, that people see that. And even though, despite this rogue team member and, him wanting, being greedy and just being, I'm just going to say it, being scum in a way, that even though the price went down and some people started to leave, overall we still got to the all-time highs, and now we're just kind of crabbing around certain areas, but we are, if you want to talk price wise, we're doing a lot better than we were before. And I think we gained a lot more people from that as well.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, I think we went to a low of 1.9 cent, and even from a development perspective, we weren't worried, because we knew that will come back up as we continue rolling out the products that we're working on, doing more AMAs, and people know what the project is about. But similarly, at the same time, you would feel the frustration on community members who, I mean, admittedly, it's very difficult to understand why a coin would do that when you can look at another one which all of a sudden has begun pumping. And the frustration is completely felt by the team as well. Like, we know that you're holding tight onto your tokens, and we were delighted when, things did start moving up, and people, I mean, if you got in at the very low at 1.9 or 1.9 cent, I mean, we went up to about 45 cent on, I think Uniswap, we went up to 45, and up to $1.50 if you get in right at the open on Hotbit. But and this is another thing I actually want to kind of point on that one as well, the whole holding thing. Like, if we went up to, if you took some profits out at, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20, 30, 40, etc., there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of in that at all. Like, I mean, you held your investment. You invested in a project that you obviously believed in to be able to, go through the dip periods through it. Especially those that come in at, say, 4 cent and 6 cent, and they drop down to 1.9. Yeah, when it lifts back up again, as good projects tend to do, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking out some profits from that. The team certainly they certainly wouldn't begrudge you for making good on your own investment. So that's one thing that I always wanted to kind of be a bit more clear on that one. That yes, we love you holding your coins and staking them, stuff like that. But similarly, we don't want you to put yourself in an uncomfortable position where you've put in a massive amount of money, it's spiked up, and then you bought in a bit more because it's spiking. Like, control your investment and make sure that you're cashing out when you need to. Make sure you're in a house and home, and Dogira will still be there to moon for you afterwards.
And speaking on that note, on deploying that V2 contract to prevent that rogue team member, can you explain what changes are to what changes are going to be in the Dogira V2 token?
Yeah. So we're still working. The white paper has nearly kind of all the details you want in there on it. I'm not going to speak a massive amount on it because there's just a couple of things that we still need to kind of wrap up with it. The Doge City V2 we have up at the moment, I suppose we're more so calling that a 1.5 right now, because the massive, the big point of that Doge City V1.5 or V2, whatever you want to call it, was more so to protect the integrity and security of the coin. We didn't spend any time putting in the features that we wanted in it or anything like that. And one thing that I suppose I would be able to give some detail on is when it comes to the actual DeFi nature of the token, we do want to put that more so towards staking over a vested period of time. It is great having just staking into your MetaMask, stuff like that, but ideally we want to see tokens locked up a bit longer and getting better rewards for it. If we know that you're locking up a certain amount of tokens for 7 days, and we know you're not selling for those 7 days with a reward at the end of it, then we're able to actually really make that reward a lot better. We know that you're holding your investment for a little bit longer. What can we do with this kind of thing? Or even if you wanted to, say, partake in the more gamified part of it. We've talked a little before about our what did we call the NFT mining lottery system? The staking lottery. So this is one where if you're jumping in, you want to start staking, but you don't have a massive amount of tokens. You don't have 50,000 or 100,000 or whatever we kind of classify as a whale amount of tokens at the moment. We still want you to have a chance to be able to actually reap the rewards of this stuff. So that's where we're looking at, a lottery staking system where it's pretty much just one KYC wallet per person, and you're just getting an even distribution chance of winning an NFT at the end of it. Stuff like that I'm really excited for, and particularly the stuff that we're working on around how are we going to support a kind of more of a microtransaction run into the games. So let's say we wanted to have something in there which would cost, $1 or $10 or something like that. Absolutely cannot be done through the Ethereum chain. The gas prices would be 8 times the cost of purchase, stuff like that. So that's something we're looking at as well. Do we need to look at another chain to actually deploy that onto? Is it something we can do with our current chain? Do we have a side chain that actually attaches onto that? How do we actually stake things out of it? Things like that. And the NFT token, the NFT and token launchpads will have a lot coming into that as well. The white paper is fantastic. Mia's been doing brilliant work on it so far. And yeah, we're really looking forward to actually getting that out and showing you what is in store for the Dogira V2 contract. Yeah, sorry, I do have to still remain a little bit secretive on it, but there is a lot of great stuff in there. We are looking forward to getting that rolled out.
Let's see, next one. And if I skip over any of your questions, feel free to ask in the Telegram or ask, any time that you see Owen on there. He can probably reply really, really quickly, but don't pester him, don't jump on, DM him and stuff. He is working pretty hard. I don't want him falling over himself.
Everybody's spam Owen quick.
What was that?
Everybody's spam Owen quick.
Yeah, quick. You can go DM him, fill it up. Let's see. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it seems that Dogira's plan to integrate with games is similar to Engine. How will Dogira differentiate? How will we differ from the Engine project or other projects seeking to integrate with gaming?
Yeah, it's a very good question. There are a lot of things that are kind of trying to jump in at the moment and state that they are the token for integrating with gaming, stuff like that. And I think right now a lot of what we're looking at is there's a heavy amount of survival of the fittest in there. There's several tokens launching at the moment that have plans to integrate with the game, but they don't have the game out. They only have it in kind of a preview stage, or they have never integrated with a game before, or they don't have any team members who have actually ever worked in games development before. You don't need to be a games developer to, produce tooling for games or anything like that. But I do think it gives us a little bit of an edge in the sense that we have that on our team. So a lot of what we're doing, yeah, there will be some similarities what we're doing with Engine, but at the same time, it's kind of how we're actually doing it, particularly in around, say, token NFTs and what we want to do with actually setting it up with currency, having our own in-house studio, things like that. I think that there will be some more ambition in some areas on it. And I would think that at this stage of the game, even if Engine were to continue on the run they're on, and I'll be straight up, I think Engine is quite a good token. I don't think that it would capture a full market at any point. I think there's a lot of room for maneuvering in there at the moment, particularly when you look at other tokens like, say, BPro. That's another good project running at the moment as well. And they're starting to niche themselves more in towards just purely being a betting protocol service and actually selling those tokens to allow for staking to be made by, say, a third party, what we call them, a bookmaker or gambling house, whichever you prefer. But yeah, there's the full differentiation, I think, is going to really come down to what we're doing on our token and NFT launchpad and how we're going to be able to tie that into people having their own, say, side chains that come off of that one, level of curation into it. And I suppose allowing for a lot more freedom in how the developers are actually able to run with it. That, again, I don't want to jump into a huge amount of detail on what's coming in the white paper. But as a quick example, let's say a developer is saying, they want their own token for this. They don't want to just be buying up Dogira. So how do we tie it to Dogira and increase value? And you could be looking at our staking systems for that. Like if a game launch was coming up, they wanted to get marketing on it themselves. They wanted to get an audit done on their own contracts, stuff like that. That would be a perfect thing for our NFT and token launchpad. And in that, we may absorb or assume a certain percentage of tokens, which can be awarded then to Dogira stakers. So that boat gets their own token into circulation. It gets them, any much needed marketing and advertisement that you would nearly always need with a new game launch. And it's a real case of win-win all around on that. But yeah, this is stuff that we're going to detail on a little bit more in the white paper. And we'll be speaking more on it when it kind of comes time to get that launched. But yeah, it's a very good question though. And I think that's what we do need right now with a lot of the projects coming onto the market. They do have to actually be able to explain themselves in what they're doing with it. As it's very easy to, there's one or two tokens I've looked at, which are, jumping into the gaming space. And I think one of them they have a video that's coming soon, but the video is fully path traced. So, this has been made in Blender. And it's kind of like, right, so what engine are they actually using for the game? How far into development is it, etc. And as I've said a few times before, my own game on Steam at the moment, I am hoping that we can get an event integrated into that soon enough. It won't be a direct native blockchain integration. Obviously, we don't have our SDK built out for that one yet. But we can start, basically giving away Dogira in-game to players and get them actually into the community. So we have a pad that we can launch from. And if I do, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I think that, albeit it wasn't in my mind when developing the game, it would suit cryptocurrency really well. Like that level of kind of high stakes going into a game like that. It's one thing it always missed. It was always just virtual currency. Who cares if you lost it? If people are able to jump into it and actually, play with their Dogira directly or play with something that's, based off a chain of Dogira, I think it would do extremely well for the game. So I think we're on a very, very strong ground to actually get launched into the gaming industry inside of cryptocurrency and then branch it towards our native blockchain integrations.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Let's see the next one. And you actually inadvertently answered one of the other questions someone was asking about. When are we going to integrate the Dogira into a Splitter Still, or at least have it tied to it in some type of way?
Yes.
So we're just currently working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it actually should have been before now, but unfortunately we're not able to actually run through cryptocurrency with Valve. The cryptocurrency is an asset and has a real life or real world value rather. and Valve can't actually oversee those being launched on the platform because they cannot verify that the players fairly won, etc. So we can still launch it. It just gives a little bit more, I suppose, complexity in getting it launched. That we won't be able to rely on Valve doing authentication for us anymore. Like, I always try to use third-party authentication services. As I said before, I don't like having to put in a password for every individual service I have. Please tie me into something I trust. We are unfortunately not going to make MetaMask get authentication working within that time. So we're going to have to look at some login system that either we develop in-house or we develop it, say, as an A-side onto it, or I would hope we'd be able to use OAuth or something like that. But again, it's kind of keeping it simple and basic. I'm hoping there might be a way that we can actually sign it through MetaMask, but difficult to say. Either way, to get back to the actual point of the question, I am hoping soon. Once I do have a kind of in mind when we can get that launched and what way we're running down with it, like, am I going to use an individual login system that we develop? I mean, I do have one for debug testing purposes. It just needs to be security tested. So I'm hoping that we do have that very soon, as I think that, yeah, it would do great to actually show that we have games we've already built. We can get these launched. And this will be something that we'll be able to make downloadable from the website as well. Like, we're not hard tied to Steam. The game has not been built with Steam specifically in mind. It's on Congregate, it's on Armor Games, it's on Cartridge. So yeah, we can definitely get it moved across. It's just literally authentication. And that's it. The minute that's done, we're done.
Perfect. I'm sure people are going to get pretty excited that they can actually use their Dogira in some type of way. I mean, even if they have to go and download Steam first and go get your game.
This one, it should be like, it'll be available off Steam if we're going to be actually integrating the currency into it. But for the first version that we'll be doing, just to show that we have a game up and running, it'll likely just be events that we would run. As in, what I'm thinking right now is that we would set up a fresh server that you can connect onto. It opens at the exact same time, and the first person to reach a certain amount of in-game coins or currency, or whoever has the most after a set amount of time, they win a Dogira prize. And we actually have a pretty good prize pool for it as well. It used to be small, but then the price of Dogira shot up. So yeah, there's actually quite a good prize that will be available in it once we get it moving.
All right, awesome. Let's see. Functions like Doge Breath are amazing from a community standpoint. Are you looking at expanding any more functions with that on the V2 contract, for example?
Yeah, so we've been looking over stuff like that, and there is going to be stuff in the white paper in regards to it. I mean, we do want to preserve tokenomics wherever we can. We also want to make sure that we're actually, I suppose, making there an actual point in staking and stuff like that. Like, if you were to stake up your coins and, Doge Breath didn't work on them or anything like that, you could come out at a loss, which, that's definitely not something we want. Similarly as well, we do have to be careful with the actual economy that we build around that stuff. Like, and how we're going to integrate it across, say, other chains and stuff like that. If we do decide we need to spin something off to make a more usable small currency without exorbitant network fees, things like that. So there'll be more info on it in the white paper. We're not 100% yet on what we're going to do to kind of tweak a couple of the tokenomics in it, but Mia is working hard on that at the moment, and we'll be reviewing over it and giving info on it before it happens. Or rather, before a decision is made, etc. Yeah, back over to you, Shiggy.
All right, let's see. Any thoughts with the current token logo? Is the team satisfied with the current design?
Sorry, could you repeat that, mate?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Any thoughts with the current token logo? Is the team satisfied with its current design?
Yeah, we've had back and forths on it. That's that's the honest answer. I'm not going to kind of put a 100% answer to that one, but we are looking at the token logo, and if there's anything we want to do to change it a little bit. I think one thing we want to do right now is more cleanly differentiate us from other animal-based tokens that are out at the moment. So yeah, it's something we're looking at. And I think somebody made the suggestion earlier of having Dogira Chan on it. So I actually quite like that.
But, same here. I mean, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. So it is something we're looking at the moment. But a lot of it will come down to, there is a certain level of branding that has been attached to it as well. So it's not really a decision that we're going to make lightly. But it is something that we're kind of discussing at the moment. And especially as well, if we are looking at having any kind of off-chain connections or stuff like that, Dogira might well keep the image of Dogira on it, or it might just be, upgraded a little bit. But yeah, it's a good question, and I'd hope to have a better answer for you on that one in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. As the price of Dogira continues to increase, will the redistribution rewards always stay the same, and any future partnerships?
I'm assuming by that, are they speaking about like
Like the auto state, like from cells and everything, they're going to get extra Dogira by holding Dogira.
Yeah. So I suppose one thing we're looking at now with the price going up is that like the Doge City Fund, like if we were to keep that the way it was, is taking in, a fairly considerable amount at the moment, which I don't think it needs that kind of level of it, but it's difficult to put that into a contract that's in. If we look at how the Doge City Fund was beforehand, I would have said like, yeah, there's a good fund in there that will keep things running at the current price we're at. Then the price shot up, but it's kind of, no, that is quite high. Now we have a lot of that in lockup at the moment under the Doge City V1.5, so it's not going onto the market. It's kind of like a locked in circulation. But yeah, this is something that really will be better to answer after the white paper comes out. That like it's difficult to say on it. Like the problem is with a very high reflection rate, you certainly really couldn't use it as a currency, because if you're going to be using it like a currency where you might, spend it several times a day, then it's going to cause an issue if it's reflecting so much on it that you're losing a considerable amount of money for doing what we want you to do with the money. We want you to spend it, and we don't want to really, hurt you for that. When it comes to Dogira in its current state, like as more of an asset token, I think, yeah, reflection is probably a very good idea on it, because right now with Dogira, the big thing is like we want you to hold it. So as we kind of move towards what we might do with, say, a side chain or anything like that, we might have a clearer picture there on how we're going to do that kind of stuff. But we do love the tokenomics that we actually have at the moment. So yeah, Mia is currently working with the white paper and kind of doing out the design on how we might tweak a couple of things around, stuff like that. And we're going to continue working together on that one, see what kind of works best for the overall value of the token and what works best for the community as well.
Mm-hmm. And that second one for partnerships that they were asking about, let me look here. Any future partnerships? I could answer that one if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. I can drink off a little bit of tea. Go ahead.
Okay, gotcha. So we're always looking into future partnerships. I mean, all the time. I am in contacts with people and other people. I really can't say specifics, of course. I don't want rumors to start with anything. But we are definitely looking into future partnerships.
What's that? We're working with Bitcoin. Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, the price just doubled. Shit.
What was that?
The price just doubled.
Oh, wait, it did? Really now?
No, it didn't really. You're
going to make me look, man. Come on. Let's see.
I'm sure everybody has just jumped onto their browser going, I'm rich. No.
Yeah, I got to sell it real quick so we can, try to swing it. Yeah, that's not going to work, man. Let's see. Where is it? I just had it. Oh, there you go. Does the project have enough funding to continue building if we enter a bear market? A quick note on that one. Even if we enter a bear market, I'm going to still keep doing my, due diligence. I'm not, right now, I'm not getting, $50 an hour, or I'm not really getting, paid directly. I'm just kind of doing this. I want this project to succeed. That's just from my viewpoint. And that's just me, speaking on my own stuff. Is even if I'm not getting paid for this, I want this project to succeed. I mean, I'm already staked in it with my own money from buying in early and, just wanting to see everything kind of play out. Owen,
yeah, I love how you jumped into me to say, just so you all know, those assholes aren't paying me. So, when it comes towards a bear market or anything like that, I think that Dogira is probably in one of the best positions to actually make it through it. I mean, even outside of when it comes to how much direct funding we have and stuff like that, and like we do have tokens that are still sitting there that we can actually fall back on. We also have our own personal supplies of currency as well that we can back things up with. But the most important thing that we really have in this is that we have a product that we're actually developing and working on. Like you wouldn't be able to you wouldn't be able to say jump into anything that's just pure animal token, which is like, yes, we just want you to hold it and please hold it until the next bag holder turns up. I think you get a bit of feedback off your mic, Shiggy.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what was that?
I think you're giving a little feedback off your mic.
Oh, okay. I can always just I'll mute myself whenever.
Yeah, cool. But where was it? Yeah, so if we're coming into a bear market, and we have actual products that have been released with it, and we've people using them on the daily, and we have good NFTs coming out, and there's good confidence in the project, that is the absolute best place for us to be in with that. We can continue working on it. And when it comes to funding and stuff like that, I mean, in the last while, we have gotten ourselves onto several CEXs, things like that. There's no danger of there's no danger of running out of funding in that kind of regard. The token is worth quite a bit right now, and if needs be, we can take out small amounts of it if we need to prop anything up. But we're starting to move in more towards, say, we had the Dogira manga, which was released today, which I hope everybody has bought 2 copies of at this stage. But we're looking at doing more things like that. So we're actually building a liquid supply of cash rather than needing to touch, Dogira that we have locked in team wallets and stuff like that. We don't want to, essentially reduce the value of the token because we have to sell. Now, that's not kind of to go at odds with what I said earlier, team members and anybody else. If you're on for a while, then take out your little bit of profit, keep booking it, stuff like that. But ideally, when we're raising money for the actual token itself, we want to try and do it with, say, Ethereum or other currencies that we can bring in. We want to add to the Dogira liquidity rather than, taking out of it. But on top of that as well, and speaking of, liquidity and stuff like that, I mean, we have one of the most liquid pools in crypto at the moment, I think. At a market cap of, I think when we were at 20 million, we had 3 million in liquidity. So, there's definitely a lot of safety behind the project in that regard. And it's one of the things that I would not have a lot of fear on. So, yeah. Oh, over to you, Shiggy. Okay. I hope I answered that clearly as well. If there are any follow-ups on it, then please do drop it into the chat.
Do you know who owns wallet 488D?
That's it's actually my wallet. I've just been dumping. I am the Uniswap router. Yeah, Uniswap router. That guy is really rich. He's been selling off a lot of tokens. He's done well for himself. He kind of sells at a lower than I saw him sell at 1.9 cent. So he's obviously not very good at this, but he has so many tokens. Why not? It's have we got anything
for people? For people that can't understand sarcasm, that was sarcasm. So please.
Yeah, sorry. There is there's a Dex Tools bug at the moment that is showing every single sale will come through from a wallet that's ending in 488D. That's actually the Uniswap router. So whenever anybody is doing a sale through Uniswap, it's showing up as a Uniswap router every time. If you want to see a more up-to-date, realistic version of it, you can check our Etherscan page, which shows the actual wallet that's linked to that. This is something that we have fixed up for the V2 of the contract. And yeah, I know it's a bit of an irritating one to actually deal with, because when new people are jumping into it and you see stuff like that, I would look at that and go, who the hell is 88D? And I probably wouldn't even click in on it. Or I'd look at it and go, oh my God, they've got 20% of the supply, etc. But this is just the Uniswap router. It's not one person that's selling behind it every time. You can click into the Etherscan page and you'll be able to check out all of that then. Yeah, back over to you, Shiggy.
What's up?
Back over to you.
In a previous Ask Me Anything, cheat resistance was mentioned. Could you expand on that idea and expand on how the team plans to execute that?
Yeah, so the general thing when it comes to actually gaming on the blockchain, and this would be kind of an advanced level integration, is that you would be able to verify, say movements and things like that on the blockchain. Let's take, for example, a battle royale game of your choice, and all of a sudden somebody is flying through the air, or maybe you've played Fall Guys at launch and you saw that kind of stuff as well. if you had everybody in game actually verifying the movements that were being made, and if it was happening in a reasonable, logical, consistent way, then you couldn't do stuff like that. Like, what happens right now is that when you play, say, through a game of Fall Guys, it takes the recording of the game and it plays it back afterwards and checks, did anything dodgy happen in that? And it goes, oh wow, somebody was flying and knocking people off ledges, and what is happening after the game is finished. The game has been ruined and you're punishing them for it, but you're not actually stopping them while they're doing it. So when you actually look at it on a blockchain level, then if you actually had it running, that we had a small blockchain that was actually checking everybody's movements running off everybody's machine, or just even running on the general blockchain, so people that are not even playing the game, they're just kind of mining and stuff like that, they can be checking all of these movements as they're happening. And it's kind of a more real-time cheap protection using what's essentially a distributed supercomputer to do all of that in real time. Now, by real time, you still have, say, your same, network congestion and gas costs. That's something that would still have to be resolved with it. So doing it on ERC20 right now, it certainly wouldn't be, feasible or tangible. But it is definitely something that we'll be able to do as we see, added smart contract stuff come out. We'll even, see ourselves, do we have to do something for this? Is there a chain that nearly needs to be developed to this specific type of logic? But it's all stuff that we're looking into at the moment. And more details on that one as we kind of come closer to the time and get a clearer picture on what we're able to do in the realms and that we can hand kind of easily to a developer.
All right. And you want to take 2 more questions and then call it good? It's been about an hour, but we can go a little bit longer. Up to you, man.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I'll take 2 more and we can roll.
Okay, perfect. So I'll do another lighthearted one here. Are you liking the community memes? I mean, I know I am. I seen a good one someone just made. It was the what was it? It was Dogira, and he was talking to like a pink Wojak. For those of you guys that aren't maybe are not into a lot of those Wojak memes and stuff, it's pretty much just a normal guy. If he's pink, the price is going down. If he's green, price go up, more or less. He's talking to him. Guy's all furious. Dogira gives him a hug. He turns green. I love that one, man.
Yeah, I like it. I really like the sticker packs that were done up for Dogira-chan. Not the one that is calling out fodders in particular. That one gives me nightmares. But the other one I quite like. I would say the small little Animu waifu Dogira-chan. They're pretty funny. Very cute. Other stuff then, community has some really good memes. That's kind of the reality. It's difficult to pick one out in particular as like picking out my favorite child. But absolutely more memes, the more the merrier. Keep making them.
And let me see this new more technical angle. Okay, yeah, let's see. I can actually answer this one partially and jump on it. Holders who own less than 10k Dogira coins receive less rewards compared to the big fish going through transaction burns. And are there any awards / competitions coming up for some such holders? And yeah, we just posted one pretty much. I'm just like I just told you guys about one on Monday or so. I'm not sure if you saw it as well. It was pretty much you can get, I think it's 2,000. Yeah, 2,000 Dogira for posting about 5 videos or 6, depending on time, where you are in the world and stuff. I didn't want to say hard and fast 6 and how people from Japan are missing it or whatever, right? And so you post those 5 videos about Dogira and you get 2,000 Dogira just from that. Doesn't have to, of course, I want quality, but I see you trying and you're not trying to make duplicate accounts or just try to game the system in some way. Yeah, here you go, here's that Dogira. So yeah, you can get 2,000 just for posting those videos on TikTok, and you can also get 10,000 Dogira or 5,000 if you get pretty much a lot of likes and views on those videos. That's just one competition. We had previous ones where it was go on Twitter and X amount of likes and retweets gets you this amount of Dogira, and obviously we're gonna scale down the Dogira in a way, because if we get to $1 and I'm handing out 10,000, as Owen put it, I'm giving someone $10,000, quite literally $10,000 by someone posting a video of Dogira smashing a city. In the background there's Cardi B. I don't know, man.
But obviously, it will be scalable to the point that you might end up getting 500 Dogira, which at that time at $1 would be $500 or something like that. And that's just, there's going to be more competitions in the future, of course. And if you get in early for these ones, get that 2,000 just for posting those videos, and it goes to $1. It's $2,000 for posting videos, man. Like,
yeah, and to jump in on that one as well, that's what we've been talking about with the NFT lottery staking system that we're speaking about earlier, or just a general staking lottery. This is a KYC built lottery system that you just stake a couple of coins, and like you can't be kind of outplayed by a big fish in it because we put a limit on the amount that you can actually lock up with it. So this is one where everybody has a fair chance to actually win on that kind of stuff. So yeah, we are looking at ways we can make it, I suppose, make more opportunities available to people who are newly arrived into the coin. But similarly as well, you shouldn't fear too much in that sense that as the coin grows in value, it tends to get far more distributed anyway. Like if you were to buy in at, say, when we were around the 2 and 3 cent range, common buy-ins were, like 100,000 Dogira and stuff like that. And now that we're, up multiples of that, like 100,000 Dogira is actually a pretty considerable amount of money now. So the buys get smaller on it. And as the coin goes up in value again, it might be that, 1,000 Dogira is actually quite a big buy into the project. So yeah, don't worry too much about stuff like that. This happens with every token whenever the value of it goes up. Like in an ideal world, the value, would keep going up, and that 10,000 Dogira would actually be a considerable holding to have. As it is right now for people who are, still holding their 100,000 Dogira, stuff like that. But yeah, it's like we wouldn't say that like we wouldn't turn around and say like, it got burned by buying in the first place and stuff like that. Like I understand that there was an all-time high just hit. People might have bought it on the peak of it. It's what I kind of spoke about at the start of the AMA. That if you research into the project, we're not doing this, say, to just build infinite value with nothing to actually back it. But it is something that we're confident we'll see will go up as we continue rolling out the stuff that we're actually developing. So I hope that answers it for you. But like, I know how you're feeling with it, that if you jump in and you feel that you got burned on a buy, stuff like that. Unfortunately, a lot of it comes down to, like, it might be bad luck, bad timing, or it might have just been up unnaturally high. And it was a very big spike that we went on. So obviously a little bit of a cool off was needed with it. But as I said, this is something that we're building as a long-term project with, actual deliverables at the end of it. So we would hope that over time we'll just see the value going naturally up as we begin rolling out on all of those achievements. Yeah, back over to you, Shiggy.
And just to address some of the other things I saw, just really quick, when it comes to exchanges and other things like that, we're always looking for more. We're always looking into what would be ideal for the people that are buying in, and ease, accessibility, et cetera, et cetera. So we're always looking for those things. Let's see. Other than that, did you want to take a peek through and see if there's any that I missed that you wanted to ask, that you wanted to answer? So
yeah, I'll do a quick scan through now. Lambo soon.
Right.
That's actually an interesting one, the Biden gains taxes. So yeah, that's kind of that was kind of something I suppose that took a lot of people by surprise, that the market really did react to that, and it reacted strongly to it as well. I'm going to be very blunt on this one and say those taxes, which would typically affect people that would have a lot of wealth, they tend to be the people who find a way not to pay those taxes regardless. Not to call pot on them, but it is not something that I would massively worry about. And typically when we see hands exit from somebody who might be in fear of, a new tax hike coming in, which would take a long time to get through the House of Senate anyway. But when you see stuff like that coming in and people, they're hands off and say, right, time to go, time to book out, you will see it get replaced with other people who want to go hands in. And particularly when you look at other countries that do not have news like that happening at the moment, it just became a much more attractive investment because they are not paying that level of capital gains tax. But if you look at Ireland, like myself here, I'm at 33% capital gains tax. And the reality is that when you're ready to actually pull something out of it, you make sure you have your capital gains tax set aside. Otherwise, you stay tethered. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not dangerous or anything like that. Now, check your own laws in your own state. They might consider Tether US to, actually be USD, stuff like that. But yeah, that's like all of this kind of stuff. We get it every time during the bull run. And it's always what causes the fluctuations like this. And yes, every bull run does have to come to an end. But the minute I saw the news coming out on that one, I just immediately went, okay, so the market's probably going to react with about a 15 to 20% shock. And was it a little bit more than that we got hit by, or was it less? I just remember, yeah.
Those wealthy people, they're not getting their income, they're not getting their wealth from like capital gains. They're not getting it, not capital. They're not getting it from just regular income. They're not filing it to IRS or if you're in the U.S. or other places and saying, oh yeah, my income is. That stuff doesn't really affect them that much.
Yeah. So yeah, we just talked to you again for a second while you were saying that, but you were saying when it comes to the level of wealth that would really move a market, like if you're talking about eliminating 20 to 25% of Bitcoin's market cap, that's a tremendous level of wealth. It's not going to be someone like Mr. Buffett did not log in and say, "Oh, I'm pulling my coins out of Binance." Like this is whenever you hear news like that, the main thing that sends the price down a little bit is pure panic. And it's from several people panicking at the same time. They panic and then other people panic off the foot of it. So, I wouldn't, it's not something that I would have great concern over. There is always news of a new capital gains tax or a new cryptocurrency tax or anything like that on the horizon. Like bull runs tend to come to an end when, you can kind of spot them coming to an end when you just hear endless media about cryptocurrency and then they start feeding into each other. Like that kind of stuff. When you hear something about like a new tax being brought in or something like that, I'd always expect a little bit of a market shock, but I wouldn't run to tether myself. Particularly for the sense that by the time you go and tether yourself, everybody else is probably already tethered up and you've done at the bottom of the market. So, like the biggest kind of advice I can give there, and again, not financial advice, just kind of my own stuff to do with that, is like you have your own targets for the stuff that you've purchased into. And you have to assume that there will be shocks and bumps along the way with it. If you want to pull out, you've decided like, I'm not at my target, but I've done pretty well. Or, maybe it's even, I've lost a bit. I'm going to back off until the market pulls down a bit. Like stick to those kind of targets. Don't see a market shock. And I'll rephrase that so it doesn't sound as much like financial advice. But I don't look at a market shock and I don't start tethering up to whatever I can. I might move around a thing or two. I might reevaluate my positions kind of more long term looking at them. But if you try to tether up and time the market to jump back in on it, you will probably burn yourself. At least that's what I know I would do. So for myself, there are certain targets set. But for Dogira, as I've said, we have our own staking in it. We have, our own team wallets and stuff like that. This isn't something that we panic with and say, oh God, get the Dogira into USDT or anything like that. So that's just our view on it. Of course, if you want to try and play the game where you try and tether up as quick as you can based off news and try and get back in at the bottom, that's completely on you. But they don't say swingies get the rope for no reason. It's a dangerous game to play.
Well said. Well said.
Oh, and don't forget, pick up that wonderful NFT that Lavender put together. It's the full manga of the Dogira Chronicles. Excellent artwork. I really like the story on it. And I think we've 40% of all of it going to, let me just double check. Yeah, 40% goes into the Dogira Development Marketing CEX Fund. And with 10% of it, we're going to buy and hold a bunch of FEG tokens for our friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, guys, check that out. Check it out. Try to collect all the NFTs. I'm kidding.
And this one was under our collection. Like we've built our own collection on Rarible now. So yeah, if you want to, actually collect them all and have your big Dogira collection to look at the end of the day, that is your number one item to start with. It was a community item that took place number one.
Oh yeah. I know I already got my sex edition, the Moonshot one.
I always have to say CEX. I just feel like there's a childish voice giggling in the back of my head if I don't just spell it out.
Oh God. Sometimes yeah, same. I usually like to reinforce that by saying Dex right after.
Okay, guys, thanks a million for jumping in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll be hanging out in the Telegram over the weekend as well. So yeah, I should hopefully be speaking to some of you soon again. Do keep on spreading the word. Keep up your degenerate 4chan threads, your Twitter posts, the Reddit posts, the whole lot. Yeah, keep getting people on board with it, because I think that we're getting a really strong community at the moment. And it's fantastic that we're actually able to run these things, have a couple of people in to sit down, chill out, ask their questions. It's really healthy for the coin. And it's good to kind of give us, I suppose, when we have more people on board, we have a better feel for what's happening. When we had all, I suppose, only the old holders, and we do obviously love our old holders on it, I suppose we get a little bit of a warped picture because everybody's happy. The price has gone up for everyone. It's brilliant. When we see new people coming in and, they just bought in, half a cent ago and stuff like that, it's good again to be able to see, their take on the project, where they see it going long term, stuff like that. It keeps us, I suppose, not even grounded, but more that we get a clear picture of what everybody is seeing, rather than just getting a picture of what the happy people are seeing at any one time. It just helps us develop a stronger project and a stronger community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you guys are the best. Listen, thanks a million, everybody. I'm going to jump off, get myself a good cup of tea, and I don't know, maybe lie down on the couch for a little bit. One of those weird Friday night things. Thanks, man, everybody. Speak soon. Bye.